Good morning, everyone. So today, our class, I need to give you an orientation so that you know exactly how we conduct our classes, and then I'll go through the schedule, our annual calendar, so that you can see exactly when are we having the classes and what are we going to be doing when we have the classes as well. And then please note that we are having a class very soon as well, because I think assignment or quiz number one, it should be due sometime in May. So we need to do it as soon as possible as well. So you see that um, how we conduct our classes is that if you check, I've just updated our timetable as well so that it reflects everything. When are we going to be having the classes and what are we going to be covering as well? So you see that when it comes to our timetable, um, when it comes to our timetable, um, the breakdown of our timetable is as follows. For Fin4801, we're having a class today. Then on the 21st of April, we are also going to be having a class because remember, that's when we are going to be doing it or looking at quiz number one. And on the 21st of April is this coming Tuesday. So this coming Tuesday from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m., we are going to be looking at quiz number one. And for quiz number one, I'm going to be going through the questions with you and show you or demonstrate as well how you should approach answering those questions as well. Because if I check on the timetable for quiz number one, they're telling us that quiz number one is due on, just give me a second. Uh, quiz number one is due on um, the due date for quiz number one is on the 6th of May. So the quiz number one is due on the 6th of May. So you have another 2 weeks or three to actually have a look and review what would have done in class as well. So what we usually do is on our side, we assist you to go through the study units, we assist you to go through the assignments, and then we also assist you to go through revision as well. So which means that we're going to be assisting you until you write your exams in Jan-Feb 2027. So we're going to be assisting you until you write your exams there in Jan-Feb 2027. So you'll see that for every assignment that is going to be due, we are going to be dedicating a class to go through those assignments. And you'll see that for Fin4801, you will have about 6 assignments that you need to make sure that you do as well. So we're going to be dedicating 6 classes specifically to go through the assignments with you. So you will see that these, based on the assignment dates, these are the dates that we're saying that we're going to be going through the assignments with you. So you see that for quiz number one, we're having it this coming Tuesday on the 21st of April, and it's going to be from 7 to 9 p.m. And then quiz number two is going to be on the 12th of May. And then quiz number three, we're going to do it on the 23rd of June. Then quiz number four, we're going to do it on the 28th of July. And then quiz number five, we're going to do it on the 25th of August. And then quiz number six, we're going to do it on the 15th of September. And this is quiz number six is the last quiz that is due for your module as well. So these are the dates that we're going to be dedicating to do these quizzes as well. Please note that if there's going to be any changes to these dates for any reason, I will make sure that I also communicate with you on the WhatsApp groups as well. So you see that what we do is that when we conduct our classes, right, we charge you a fee of 1,000. So it's an annual fee. So we charge you an annual fee of 1,500. So we charge you an annual fee of 1,500, which you can break down and pay in monthly installments, as long as you make sure that you settle your fees by 31 December this year. So um, um, so which means that you can break that annual fee into monthly installments as long as you make sure that you settle your fees by 31 December this year. So how the reason why this fee is a bit low is mainly because the way we conduct our classes, we do our classes as a hybrid system, right? Where when we ask you to go through a certain number of videos which are already conducted, that we already recorded when we're doing the classes full time. So there's videos that are already there as well, which we ask you to go through over a given period of time. And then after you've gone through those videos on a certain date, we dedicate a class where we go through and review the chapters with you. And we ask if there's any questions that you came across when you're going through the chapters. And then we go through practice questions relevant to those chapters. Then you go through another section of videos as well. And then we dedicate another class that we are also going to be reviewing those other chapters as well. Then after that, we go into the revision period. So that's basically how we conduct our classes. So what we do is, if you check on our schedule, you see that apart from the classes that are going to be having apart from the classes that are going to be having to go through the assignments as well, you see that on the 11th of July, we're going to be having a class, and in that class, we're going to be reviewing chapters 1 to 8 of the textbook. So in that class, we're going to be reviewing chapter 1 to 8 of the textbook, and that is going to be on the 11th of July, and it's going to be from 12:30 until 4:30 or 5 o'clock as well, depending on exactly how fast we move as well. So which means that's when we're going to be reviewing the first 8 chapters of the textbook, which also means that by the time we get to the 11th of July, you need to make sure that you have gone through the videos of the chapters 1 to chapter 8 in your textbook. So that before that class as well, I'll also make sure that I share the questions or the practice questions that I'm going to be doing in that class as well. Because what we do is that first, we go through the textbook so that we review to say, is there anything that you came across when you're doing this chapter and that chapter and that chapter until we get to chapter number 8. And then after we polish up and make sure that there are no issues, then after that, we go through, there's going to be practice questions which are relevant to those chapters that we're going to do in class. And remember, these practice questions, we usually pick up these practice questions either from past assignments or past exam papers. So that's where we pick up these practice questions, which are also going to be relevant looking into your exam as well. Then on the 25th of August, on the third on the 3rd of October, we are also going to have another class. And this class, we're going to be looking at chapters 9 to 17 of the textbook as well. So we're going to be looking at chapters 9 to 17 of the textbook. So which means that the same sequence as well applies, where we are going to go through and review to see from chapter 9 to 17, is there anything that you came across that you found difficult when you're going through, anything confusing? And then after that, we are going to look at practice questions that are relevant to these chapters as well. Please note that I'm always available to answer any queries that you might have. You just give me 24 hours. If you send me a query of something that you're finding difficult within your textbook, sometimes I'm on the road, so I might not be able to answer immediately, but I always make sure that I answer any queries that you might have. So you just need to indicate to me exactly what it is that you are finding difficult. If it's a question, you just send me a picture of that question on WhatsApp, and then I'll always make sure that I also come back to you. If I need to call you, I'll call you and explain. If I need to just have a short meeting with you, I'll also arrange a short meeting with you so that I explain. I'll also, depending on the complexity of the question, I'll also be able to, I'll see exactly what is the best way that I can be able to approach it, to make sure that if there's a query that you might have, is something that you are still starting to understand, I'll be able to address it as well. But most importantly, you need to make sure that you go through the video of of the question before, of the section as well, before we look at the section together to address any queries that you might have as well. So please make sure that you go through the video of the section. Then after going through the video of the section, if there's anything that you're finding difficult there, communicate with me. I'm always available on WhatsApp for me to be able to address any queries that you might have on something that you are still struggling with after you've gone through the video of the chapters as well. So that's basically, which means that those are the 2 dates that we're going to be reviewing those different materials as well. Then after this, you see that from November, December, and January as well, we are going to be dedicating that period to go through past question papers. So November, December, January, until you write in February, we are dedicating that period to go through past question papers. So please note that the timetable for November all the way through to January there as well, it can be subject to changes. Reason being, the lecturers usually only make available the final exam dates around November, December. So which means that once we have the final exam dates, that's when we're also going to have the final dates that we're going to be meeting, although we're not going to be changing the amount of hours that we're going to be meeting, so that we make sure that we cover that material as much as possible. What we can do is probably rearrange the classes depending on exactly which exam is coming earlier and which exam is coming later as well. But the timetable that we have now is based on the usual sequencing of how they usually bring these exam dates as well, because we have seen that there's a trend on the range of dates that they usually prefer to bring the exam dates as well. So on our side, we are saying that on the 14th of November, we're going to be having a class between 11 and 2 p.m. And our agenda is to cover the Jan Feb 2026 exam. Then on the 28th of November, we're going to have a class between 11 to 2 p.m. And our agenda is to cover the May-June 2026. Because remember, we always need to make sure that our database of videos is up to date as well. So which means the exams that are going to be that are the one that was written in Jan Feb, we need to make sure that we go through that particular question paper with you in class, and then the exam that is going to be written in May, June this year as well, we need to dedicate a class to go through that particular question paper as well. Then we're also going to dedicate a class to review the assignments as well. So we're going to be dedicating a class which is going to be on the 6th of around the 6th of December. We are dedicating a class where we're going to be reviewing the different assignments that you would have gone through as well. So which means that we're going to be dedicating class to make sure that we are review, and it's going to be on the 6th of November, 6th of December from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Then in January, if there's any material that has not been finished, like for example, maybe we finished the past question papers a bit late, in January, we're going to be making sure that we polish up everything as well. And we're also going to be dedicating 3 classes in January. One class is going to be on the 3rd of January from 11 to 2 p.m. The other class is going to be on the 16th of January from 11 to 2 p.m. And then the other class is going to be on the 24th of January from 11 to 2 p.m. Now, the agenda for all these classes, they are discussion classes, as in we're going to be, if there's any material that you came across and you found it difficult when you were going through the videos of the other past question papers, we're going to be dealing with them. Then if there's any practice question that we need to, where I see that these are the problem questions that need to be addressed, we're also going to be looking at them in these classes as well. Then we'll also make it available to say, if you have other questions that you've come across when you're going through the revision material that you found difficult as well, we're also going to be dedicating this period as well to go through and practice as many past question papers, as many practice questions as possible in preparation for the final exam date. So this is our general timetable of exactly how we are going to be conducting our classes. So you see that for when it comes to going through the study units, we have a hybrid system where we ask you to go through the videos, because the videos are there for the different chapters, and then we dedicate a class where we go through those videos together, where we go review those chapters together with you as well in class. And please note that at any point as you go through these videos, if you come across anything difficult, don't wait until this date to actually ask questions. Rather, send me a WhatsApp message. If you need to take a picture of the question and you send me, and I'll know exactly how to address any questions that you might have or any confusion that we might be coming across as you are going through these different sections that I'll be asking you to go through as well. So are there any questions so far regarding our schedule before we move on to the next breakdown of what we need to look at as well? Any questions?
Um, oh, Good morning, everyone. I would like to ask, is the 1.8 for each module or it's for the 3 classes?
Fee is 1,500 and it's per module. So our fee is 1,500 and it's per module. And this covers uh, going through the study units, assistance with assignments, as well as a revision as well, including the revision material. Because we also have a database, which I'm also going to share, indicate to you there as well, where there's past question papers, answers to the past question papers, and videos going through these past question papers that we already have on our database that we're also going to make sure that you also have access to. And it also includes the classes that we're going to be conducting as well, going through the revision with you as well. All right, are we together?
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions? All right. Now, the next thing that I'm going to indicate to you, if you check, I did share there are some videos that we've made publicly available that I also shared the link on YouTube as well, so that you can, when it comes to the videos going through the different study units as well, you can see exactly the way we conduct the classes in those videos as well, so that you can see if it works out for you the way we conduct those classes in those videos as well. So you see that apart from our schedule, we also remember, we're going to be giving you access for you to be able to access the videos as well, right? So how you access the videos is that if you go onto our website, if you go onto our website, if you go onto our website, so on our website, which is www.rminstitute.co.za, this is where, if you want to be able to check to see what the timetable is, this is how you click on this financial and investment management timetable, and then you see the timetable so that you know exactly when are we having the classes as well. And then if you want to be able to um, if you want to be able to once you once you are registered with us as well, you need to be able to log in to the website as well. And for you to be able to log into the website, if you click on student log in, and this is how you're able to log in to our website. So you see that once you register with us, it's either on your own, but on your own, you should be able to create a user account on the website as well, where you indicate your email address, you indicate what you want your username to be, and then you create your own password, and then you register. Then in future, when you want to log in again to the user account, you just put in your your username or your email address, and then you put your password there. And this is how you're going to be able to log into the user account as well. Now, once you log into the user account, So once you log into the user account, you see that once you log into the user account, uh, once you log into the user account, the list of modules that you are registered for will be indicated. They will be showing on the dashboard. So under my courses there, the list of modules that you are registered for will be showing on that particular dashboard as well. Then now for you to be able to 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 access the material, you are going to now click on the module that you want to access material on, and then from there you click on curriculum, and you see that under curriculum all the material that is going to be relevant to your curriculum will be made available as well. So which means that the first step that you see there is the tab for which allows you to access and download the soft copies of the textbook from our Google Drive. So the first step there allows you to access and download the soft copies on our Google Drive. So you see that if you click on this, you will see that all the textbook for the financial management and investment management classes as well, we make those textbook available, which means that for fin 4801 is going to be the textbook for fin 4801 is also available as well. So which means that the financial management textbook, which is the ninth edition there, we also make it available to you. If you want to be able to download it, then you are able to download that textbook. And remember, in this, so which means that, because remember, when we go through the study units as well, we also go through the based on the material that is covered in the textbook as well. So this is how you are able to access and download the soft copy of the textbook for your module. Then when you go back, you see that, remember the first tab, we said that this is the one that allows you to get to access the soft copies of the textbook. Then from there, the videos going through the different study units, the videos are there now. So which means that if you want to be able to access the video going through, okay, this is for Fin 4802. Okay. Okay, this is for Fin 4802. For Fin 4801, the same thing applies for Fin 4801. Yeah. So for Fin 4801, the same tabs would also still apply. Remember, for you to access the textbook, you click on this tab, and then from there, you are able to now access the videos going through the different chapters. So which means you'll be able to access the videos going through chapter number 1. Like for example, if you want to go through the video going through chapter number 1 there, if you click on that tab, you will see that you are able to now access the videos going through chapter number 1. Then if you want to go through the videos going through chapter number 2 or chapter number 3, chapter number 2 or chapter number 3 as well, you are able to access these videos as well. I'm just going to update these videos because we made some of the videos available publicly on YouTube, so which means that we need to update these links as well. So if you want to be able to access the videos going through these different chapters, the videos, this is how you're able to access the videos going through these different chapters as well. So you see that from chapter 1 all the way through to chapter number 17, the videos are available to you depending on your package as well. Because if you're on the diamond package where you're paying on a monthly basis, we also make sure that we give you these videos as and when we go, but we make sure that by the time we get to the first review class, we would have given you all the videos that are relevant for you to be able to attend the review class as well. So this is how you are able to access the videos from chapters number 1 all the way through to chapter number 17. So this is how you are able to access these videos as well. So from chapter number 1 to chapter number 17, this is how you're able to access the videos. Then from there, remember, we're going to be having the classes to review chapters number 1 to 8, and then we're also going to have the classes to review chapters number 9 to 17. So which means when you do the classes there, this is where you're able to access the videos as well. Then from here, if you want to be able to access the revision material, this is where you are able to access the revision material as well. So which means when it comes to the revision material, we also give you access to the homework questions and then the assignment questions as well as past question papers and also the answers to the past question papers as well. This is where we are able to access that material and also be able to download that material as well. So you will see that when it comes to past question papers, let me just quickly go back. When it comes to past question papers, we have past question papers from 2016, but please note that from around 2018, I'm just going to trim some of these past question papers because the lecturer over time streamlines and changes some of these past question papers as well. So you see that from around 2018, but I'm just going to streamline some of these past question papers because from since the pandemic, which is around 2020, 2021, the lecturer, because the exams were being done online, so you see that they also changed the structure of how they are bringing the questions in the exam as well. Where previously it was more of case study type of question where they give you a case study and based on that you answer long questions based on the information that is given as well. But now they've done away with those type of questions where they are now becoming a bit more simpler and more compacted as well. So which means that to when it comes to the revision period, I'm also going to go through this with you as we prepare for the revision period as well, because the most relevant way that they bring questions there is what you see mostly in 2025, 2024, 2023, going backwards. So I would also encourage you to go through the revision material going backwards as well, because some of the questions that you are going to come across in 2017, yes, sometimes the lecturer does bring some of the material, but you see that does bring some of the material, but you see that they also the lecturer does bring some of the material, but you see that they also review. They also change the structure of exactly how they bring those past question papers as well. So which means these are the past question papers that you are able to access when we go through the revision material. And we also already have the answers to the past question papers as well. And what we've also done is when it comes to our memos to the past question papers as well, we also some of the questions that are brought in, they are also complex because they also have calculations that are also brought in as well. So to make your life easier during the exam period, we also have made available the Excel spreadsheets where for a particular question or for a particular question, we also share the Excel spreadsheet so that you can see exactly how the questions were asked or how you can ideally answer these questions in Excel. And sometimes you just need to change a few figures during the exam and then you already have the answer as well. So to make your life easier as well, we do have some of the Excel spreadsheets for the information for some of the questions that are also there as well. So you see that some of the Excel spreadsheets, we also have templates for the cash budgets and some of the information that is needed when it comes to answering questions in the exam as well. So that's basically how that's the revision material that we currently have. Then you see that when it comes to the going through the past question papers, we have videos. If you go backwards, remember we have gone through the different chapters as well. So we also have videos going through the material from 2018. We have the Jan-Feb 2018, May, June 2018. Also, the videos of the assignments going through 2019, going onwards as well. Where from 2019 onwards, going onwards, we have videos going through the past assignments. And we also have videos going through the past question papers as well. So we have that material from 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24, all the way through to 2025 as well. So we do have the videos going through all these past question papers as well. So that's basically the material that we are also going to give you access to so that you go through these years as well, which means that during the revision period as well, for 2026 papers, we are going to be dedicating a class to go through the 2026 papers. So we're going to be dedicating a class to go through the Gen-Feb 2026 paper, and then we're also going to be dedicating a class to go through the May-June 2026 paper as well. So which means that then we're also going to be dedicating a class to review all the assignments that we have done in 2026, so that if there's any questions that we got wrong when we're going through the assignments, we make sure that we also review those questions and make sure that our answers are in line with the expectations of the lecturer as well. So that's basically how we are going to be conducting the classes as well. All right. Are there any questions?
Yeah, we
Hi,
could.
sir.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Is there a question?
I just wanted to ask, the financial management textbook goes up to chapter 21.
It's not all the chapters in the textbook that we need to go through. So I'm also going to go through and give an overview of the chapters as well that we are going to be going through. So that's the next thing that I'm going to be looking at as well. So it's not all the chapters in the textbook that you need to go through for your curriculum. So please make sure that you take note of that. Most importantly, that's why they say don't just look at the textbook. Go through the study guide that the lecturer provides for you that you're able to download on my UNISA. Because when you go through that study guide, it shows you for this study unit, which chapter are you supposed to look at? And for this study unit, which chapter are you expected to look at as well? So make sure that you don't just go blindly and just go through everything in the textbook. For every study unit, make sure that you go through the study guide, because that's why you need the study guide, because the study guide will tell you what do you need to do and what is it that you need to make sure that you emphasize on when you're going through the information in the textbook. So make sure
Okay.
that as you go through the textbook, use it hand in hand with what? The study guide. The study guide is the reason why you have a study guide is because it's meant for you to have a perspective of what is it that the lecturer wants you to be able to go through and understand as well. So make sure that as you go through the textbook, don't just blindly go through the textbook, go through the study guide as well, because the study guide is meant to guide you based on what the lecturer is expecting you to make sure that you cover as well.
Thank you, sir.
Right. All right, cool. All right. Are there any other questions? All right. Now I'm going to give you a rundown of exactly what is it that you need to look out for as you go through the textbook as well. So as you go through the different chapters in the textbook, I'm also going to give you a rundown of exactly what you should expect. Remember, this rundown is just an overview of the different chapters that are going to be that are being covered in the textbook. So please, for every chapter, I always recommend that you go through the video that is relevant for each chapter as well, because the information that I'm giving you now is very limited information. I also comprehensively go through that information with you as you go through the videos of the different chapters as well. Everything is comprehensively covered in those videos. Now, when it comes to the calculators, if you check in your study guide, take note of the calculators that the lecturer is recommending for you, right? And in most cases, they just say you need a financial calculator. So usually they give you and they say you need a Sharp financial calculator or the HP financial calculator, because those are the two recommended calculators. But I'm not sure if they restricted to that as well. So just make sure that you check with the lecturer which calculators are recommended. But at the end of the day, they need you to be having a financial calculator. So which means as we go through the textbook, right, you will see that every time we are going to be going through calculations which are to do with time value of money. principles. So there are going to be calculations that are going to be to do with time value of money principles. But I always make sure that there are two calculators that I always make sure that I demonstrate the steps, because I'll also show you the steps to say, if you're using the HP calculator, these are the steps that you need to follow to do your calculations to get your answer. If you're using the sharp calculator, these are the steps that you're going to be. So which means you need to be able to use the financial calculators. You need to be using the financial calculator. Now, the two financial so when we go through the textbook, right, there are two financial calculators that I demonstrate using. One is the sharp financial calculator. So it's the sharp financial calculator. And the other one is the HP 10B2 calculator. So these are the two calculators. These are the two calculators that I use in the. So which means as you go through the videos, the two calculators that I'm going to be using in class to do the demonstrations of exactly how you do the calculations there is the Sharp Financial Calculator and also the HP 10B2 calculator. Those are the two recommended calculators that I use as well to show to say if you're doing a certain calculation, this is how you get the answers as well. So you see that in the video, I show you how to do a calculation with the Sharp calculator, and then side by side, I also show you how to do the calculation as well with the HP 10B2 calculator, because those are the two recommended calculators that I usually use when it comes to Fin4801 as well. So which means you take note that as we go through the time value of money calculations as well, I'm going to be demonstrating using these two financial calculators so that you know exactly how to use your financial calculator. Now, looking at your curriculum, if you check in the textbook, remember I said before the first review class that we're going to be conducting, we're going to be reviewing chapters 1 up to chapter 8. That's what we're going to be reviewing in the first review class that we're also going to be conducting as well. In that review class, right, you will see that for chapters 1 to 8 there, what the way that the lecturer structured this curriculum is, or the way that the author structures this curriculum, you will see that when you look at material covered in chapters 1 to 8, it's actually revision of things that you did when you're doing Fin 2601 in second year, when you're doing Fin 3701 and Fin 3702 in third year. Chapters 1 to 8 reviews basically goes back and do that, because remember, they also take into account that not every student who's doing this module at honors level did cover this material at undergrad. And because of this, the chapters 1 to 8 of this textbook basically reviews things that you should have done when you're doing your undergrad. So which means if you did this material in your undergrad as well, you will see that your life is a lot easier going through these chapters. Because chapters 1 to 8, it's basically Fin 2601, Fin 3701, and Fin 3702 material. That's what's relevant from chapters 1 to 8. So those 8 chapters, you are reviewing undergrad level material. So you see that in some of the concepts, they go in depth in trying to explain some of the concepts as well. They give you a lot more information in trying to explain some of the concepts. My advice is make sure that you go through the video before you go through this material alone as well. Make sure that you go through the video as a guideline. Then if you want to go back to this material alone, you can just go through this material alone, because some of the information that they give you, you are not necessarily going to be needing it, and you're not necessarily going to be worrying about it and needing it as you go through some of the concepts as well, because the the material that you didn't necessarily cover in undergrad level, they don't really bring it, or the lecturer doesn't really emphasize on it as well when it comes to postgrad level. And because of this, I would advise you to go through the videos, because the videos I also indicate this section, this is important, this section, this is what the lecturer is looking out for. I also give you a guideline on exactly what this lecturer is looking out for on the material that is covered as well. So you see that instead of just going through a lot of information that you don't necessarily need as well, make sure that you go through the video first, because it shows you a guideline of exactly what is being emphasized on when it comes to preparation for the exam, as well as the assignments as well. So looking at this, you see that uh, you see that uh, looking at this, you see that chapter number 1 is just like, remember the textbook that you use for Fin 2601 is the same textbook that you use for Fin 3701, and is the same textbook that you use for Fin 3702 as well. So you see that the chapter number 1 of this textbook is very much linked to chapter number 1 of the Fin 2601 textbook as well. So because it's just giving you an overview of exactly what financial management is and what is expected of you as well. Now, chapter number 2 is where you are now going to be looking at time value of money principles. So chapter number 2 is where you are going to be looking at time value of money principles. This is a very, very important principle. A reason being, if you get lost here, you are definitely going to struggle when we do valuations. You are going to struggle when you do cost of capital. You are going to struggle when you do capital budgeting. Chapter 9, chapter 10, you are going to struggle. And even when you look at source of finance, capital structure, leasing, you are going to struggle when we go through these chapters as well, because all these other chapters, they are based on time value of money principles. So which means when we go through chapter 2 of the textbook, we give you a rundown of exactly how do you use your financial calculator. For your financial calculator, what are the rules that you need to follow whenever you're doing time value of money principles? So this chapter is a very, very, very important foundational chapter, because if you don't get it right here, there's a lot other chapters that you're going to struggle with. And remember, the principles covered in this chapter here, it's the same thing that you did when you're doing Fin 2601. The same principles, the way it's covered, the principles that are covered there as well, it's the same principles that you used when you're doing Fin 2601 as well. So you see that chapter number 2 of time value of money, it's a very, very, very important chapter, because it forms a foundation of the so many other chapters that you're going to be looking at as well, where you need to use your financial calculator mode. Then chapter number 3 looks at risk versus return, that there's always going to be a relationship between risk and return. And in this chapter, you see that the most important principles that you need to make sure that you take note there is, how do you calculate your risk? Remember, in calculating your risk, you need to calculate the expected return, you need to calculate the variance, and then you need to calculate the standard deviation. And then in some cases, you might also be asked to calculate the covariance as well when you're comparing two different assets. We need to make sure that you are comparing apples to apples as well. So because of this, you need to make sure that you understand exactly how do you calculate these other variables as well. Very, very important chapter. And then you also look at how do you determine your returns. How do you determine your returns? And remember, this chapter is also very important as well, because in determining your returns, it's also somewhat linked to the chapter on portfolio management, as well as the chapter on valuations as well. So which means when you look at chapter number 3, it's basically a build up to chapter number 4 as well. Because chapter number 3, you are looking at risk and return from a single asset perspective. And then chapter number 4, you are looking at risk and return when you have a collection of different assets that are making up your portfolio. Because the moment you have 2 or more assets, you're now sitting with a portfolio of assets. Then if you're sitting with a portfolio of assets, how do you now look at measuring the risk, measuring the return of those assets as well? And then chapter number 5, we are looking at financial statement analysis. Now, when you look at financial statement analysis there, the main thing that you need to take note of that when you look at financial statement analysis, you are looking to say it's mostly ratios. So you are looking at ratio analysis. That's the most important section that you need to take note of there from financial statement analysis chapter, of which is chapter number 5. So you are looking at ratio analysis. And when you look at ratio analysis there, you will see that this textbook gives you and goes so much in depth when it comes to ratio analysis and the ratios that you need to take note of there as well. But remember what I said, when it comes to the first 8 chapters, you are reviewing things that you should have done when you're doing your undergrad. So you will see that. Please note that when you go through this chapter on ratio analysis, it's very, very important that you go through the video, because in the video, I also highlight the most important ratios that you need to make sure that you take note of. So there's a lot of ratios that they are giving you in this chapter, but in the video, I highlight which ratios are the ones that you need to make sure that you concentrate on, which are also highly examinable as well. So please make sure that as you go through this particular chapter, take note to see, because this textbook gives you so many other variations of different ratios as well. So they give you a lot of variations of these ratios. But so you'll see that some of the variations of these ratios were not necessarily covered when you're doing Fin 2601. And because they were not necessarily covered when you're doing Fin 2601, you will see that some of these ratios are not necessarily emphasized by the lecturer when it comes to preparation for the exam. So please make sure that you go through the video which shows these ratios as well, so that you need to take, so that you take note of the ratios which are highly examinable as well. Then chapter number 6, we look at valuations. Now, when it comes to valuations, remember we said that when you look at the accounting equation, your assets is equal to equity plus liabilities. So so the value of your assets is what we refer to as the firm value, right? So the value of the assets is what we refer to as the firm value. So what makes up your firm value? Your firm value is made, your equity is made up of your ordinary share capital, right? Then you also find here you have retained earnings. And then you also have preference shares as well. And then under your liabilities, you have debt, and the debt can also be either loans, or it can come in the form of what? Issuing of a bond as well. So which means when you're now looking at the chapter or section on valuation as well, you are looking at to say, in valuing the value of the firm, how do we determine the value of ordinary shares? How do we determine the value of preference shares? How do we determine the value of bonds? Because remember, the value of loans, the amount that you're getting as a loan, you already know exactly how much are you getting as well. The amount that you have as your retained earnings, you already know exactly how much are your retained earnings that you currently have in your business as well. So which means when you're looking at valuation there, you are looking at the valuation of your ordinary shares, the valuation of your preference shares, the valuation of your bonds as well. So that's basically how we're going to be looking. So that's what you're going to be looking at when you're looking at the chapter on valuations. So you're looking at valuing all these forms of capital. And why are we looking at valuing all these forms of capital? So that you see exactly what the value of the firm is also equal to as well. So you are going to be looking at the different methods of valuing ordinary shares. Then you're also looking at the methods of valuing preference shares, and you're also looking at how you value bonds as well. And this is also very, very important because this chapter on valuations lead us on to the chapter on cost of capital. Because when I'm now looking at cost of capital, you're saying, remember, your cost of capital, this is where you're now saying your weighted average cost of capital is given as your cost of debt multiplied by weight of debt plus your cost of preference shares multiplied by the weight of preference shares plus your cost of equity multiplied by the weight of equity. So your weighted average cost of capital, so which means when you're looking at the cost of capital, you're now saying to finance these assets, how are we financing these assets? We're financing these assets through debt. We're financing these assets through preference shares. We're financing these assets through ordinary shares. So which means now, what is going to be the average cost of these sources of financing? Remember, it can either be bonds or it can be loans here. Then it can be preference shares if it's available, if the company has access to preference shares. But in some cases, if it's given, you need to include it. But in some cases, most cases, the lecturer doesn't really worry much about preference share financing as well. But in some cases, it's brought in as well. So which means we are not trying to find out exactly to finance these assets of the business. What is the cost of capital that is what is the average cost of this capital that is used to finance this what? This capital, these assets of the business as well. So which means now in depth, you are now going to check to see exactly. So how do we determine? So how do we? Are we going to be able to determine the cost of debt? There are different methods that you're going to be looking at as well in calculating determining the cost of debt. How do we determine the cost of equity? And there are different methods that you're going to be looking at there in determining the cost of equity. And this concept is a highly examinable concept. I have never seen an exam where the lecturer does not bring in calculation of the weighted average cost of capital. So which means in the calculation of the weighted average cost of capital, you need to find out exactly how do you determine the cost of debt, how do you determine the cost of equity. And at the same time, what are the principles used in determining the weight of debt, and what are the principles used in determining the weight of equity as well. So this section is a highly examinable section, a very, very important section, which is highly examinable. I've never seen an exam that the lecturer has brought in where the lecturer does not ask calculation of the weighted average cost of capital. It's a very, very rare. In most cases, the lecturer allows to bring this principle in the exam as well. So please, when it comes to the calculation of the weighted average cost of capital and the principles used in determining the weights, as well as the different methods used in determining the cost of debt, as well as the cost of equity as well. Please make sure that you master this because it's a very, very highly examinable concept as well. Then chapter 8 looks at capital budgeting. So in chapter 8, that's when you're going to be looking at capital budgeting. And when you look at capital budgeting, you are now looking at the different methods used in making that decision to say, remember here, we are saying that we want to be able to finance our assets, right? So we want to be able to finance our assets. Now the question becomes, so how are we going to be able to finance our assets? In how much, in financing these assets, how much ordinary shares are we going to be utilizing? How much debt are we also going to be utilizing as well? So this is all based on capital budgeting principles. So there are different methods that are used now in making that capital budgeting decision to say, so should we pursue this project or should we not pursue this project? So you see that there are different methods that you are going to be looking at there in making that capital budgeting decision. Whether it's going to be looking at the net present value method, or you are going to be using the internal rate of return method, or because these are the two very common methods that are used as well. Although there are other methods that you can also use, like, for example, the equivalent annual annuity method as well. You can also use it as well, or the profitability index. You can also use it in making these capital budgeting decisions. But the two most common capital budgeting methods is the net present value and the internal rate of return. Then they can also ask you questions based on the payback period as well, to say, so based on the payback period method, should you accept this investment or should you not accept this investment? So when it comes to the chapter 8, where you're looking at capital budgeting there, it's very, very important that you make sure that you understand, because this capital budgeting concept is also another highly examinable, because there are different capital budgeting methods that they can also ask you in the exam as well. But the most common one there is the net present value and the IRR. Then sometimes they can also ask you based on the payback period method as well. So please make sure that you take note of this. So do you see so far that from what you have done, chapters 1 to chapter 7, chapter 1 to chapter 6. Yeah, chapter 1 to chapter 6, it's things that you would have covered in Fin 2601. Chapter 1, chapter 6, you are basically reviewing things that you should have covered when you're doing Fin 2601. Then chapter 7 and chapter 8, you are now looking at things that you should have done when you're doing Fin 3701. So do you see the linkages of the things that you cover at undergrad and what you are going to be expected to cover there when you look at chapters 1 to chapter 8? Because remember, chapter 1 to chapter 8, I said you are mostly looking at material that you should have covered when you're doing your undergrad. Any questions so far? Any questions? Now, chapters 9 and chapter 10. Chapter 9 and chapter 10, you are going back to chapter 8, but you're now starting to look at this material at a postgrad level. So you're still going back to capital budgeting method, capital budgeting, but you're now starting to look at this at a postgrad level. So please make sure that you go through chapters 9 and chapter 10. But remember, you cannot understand chapters 9 and chapter 10 if you don't understand chapter 8. That's why I said after chapter 8, we need to make sure that we review, polish up, so that we're confident and happy that you are equipped now to start approaching postgrad level material as well. Then, so you see that chapter 9, you are looking at further issues in capital budgeting, and chapter 10, you are looking at capital budgeting risk analysis. So when you look at further issues in capital budgeting there, you are also now starting to acknowledge that not all projects that you are going to be comparing are going to be running for the same period of time. Some projects are going to be running for 5 years. Some projects are going to be running for 10 years. Some projects will be running for longer. So how do you make that decision to say, if you're comparing to choose, if you're asked to choose one of these projects, how do you make that decision to say, this project is the one that we're going to be pursuing? So that's what we're going to be looking at chapter 9. Chapter 10, you also see and acknowledge that not all projects are going to be exposed to the same amount of risk. And because not all projects are exposed to the same amount of risk, what adjustments do you need to make sure that you are also going to be able to compare apples against apples? And that's what you're going to be looking at chapter 10. Then chapter 11, you are looking at working capital. So when you look at working capital, we're basically saying you are comparing your current assets against your current liabilities. So you're comparing your current assets against your current liabilities. Now, what you know with certainty is exactly how much your current assets are. Remember, your current assets are things like your cash and cash equivalents. You are looking at your debtors, you're looking at your inventory, right? And then your current liabilities, you are looking at your creditors and also your short-term loans as well, typically. So which means in that case, when you're looking at your working capital, you're now looking at management of your working capital to say, how do you manage your working capital? So which means you're looking at the relationship between management of your current assets against management of your current liabilities. Then you are now going to look at the different methods to manage your current assets. So you're going to look at the different methods that you're going to be using to now analyze management of your current assets. So which means you're going to look at management of your cash. That is chapter 12. You're going to look at management of your cash, where you look at your cash budgets. You're looking at management of your inventory to see exactly how do you manage your inventory. And you're also going to be looking at management. So you're going to be looking at the management of your cash, and you're also going to be looking at management of your inventory, because and then you're also going to be looking at management of your debtors as well, because those are your current assets. Then when you look further, you're also going to be looking at management of your current liabilities as well, which is your short-term financing. And so which means chapter 11 and chapter 12, they are very much linked to each other because they are all based on management of your working capital. Then, chapter 13, you are going back to now look at your sources of finance to say, how do you finance the business? Remember, we said your, your sources of finance in this case, we're looking at your ordinary shares, your retained earnings, your preference shares, and your debt, which can be your loans or it can be your bonds. So, which means now we're looking to say, so when you look at your sources of finance there, we're now looking to say, so how do you now analyze your financing sources of ordinary shares and what are the implications utilizing your retained earnings and your loans and bonds, and what are the different theories that are used now in making that decision to say which financing source are we going to be utilizing? Because there are different theories that are used in making that decision to say, should we finance our project, our assets using ordinary shares first? Then when exhaust our ordinary shares, we move on to preference shares or loans. Or should we rather finance our assets using the debt and then use this or use that? Or maybe then you make a comparison and say, amongst my ordinary shares, if I have retained earnings, I'm better off utilizing my retained earnings first before I start utilizing my what? My ordinary shares. So those are the different things that you are going to be taking into account when you're now making your financing decision to say, so which source of finance am I going to be utilizing first when I'm looking at the hierarchy of my sources of financing? So there are different theories that you're going to be looking at and learning as well, which are used in what? Making that financing decision. And remember, that financing decision is very, very important as well, because we know that the ideally in every business, you want to keep your costs low, so that because the lower your costs are, the higher the value of the firm as well. And because of this, it means your financing sources there, they should be structured in such a way that your weighted average cost of capital is at its lowest as well. Because the lower your weighted average cost of capital, the higher the firm value as well. So now the question becomes, so to lower this weighted average cost of capital, should what source of finance are we going to be using for debt? And what source of financing are we going to be using for equity? Because remember, ideally, you want to be finding yourself at that optimal weight of debt and optimal weight of equity, which lowers your weighted average cost of capital as well. So that's what you're going to be looking at there when you're now looking at what? Analyzing your sources of finance. So in analysis of your sources of finance there, you are trying to make that decision. And this is going to be linked to chapter 14, where you're now going to be looking at the capital structure as well. Because remember, after you look at and understand the different sources of finance there, you're now going to check to see, based on the different sources of finance there, which financing structure of equity and debt is going to allow me to have the weighted average, the lowest weighted average cost of capital. Because the capital structure that allows me to have the lowest weighted average cost of capital is the financing structure that is going to give me what? The highest value of the firm. Why are we talking about the value of the firm? If you still remember from Fin 2601, the first important principle that you learned in chapter 1 of Fin 2601, which is also going to be the principle that they emphasize on there in chapter 1 of your textbook as well is the one that goes back to say, where we are saying, what is the goal of the firm? The goal of the firm is to maximize shareholders' wealth. And how do we maximize shareholders' wealth? By maximizing the value of the shares and also by maximizing what? The value of the firm, isn't it, right? So how do we maximize the value of the firm? By making sure that when you now look at your source of finance and your capital structure, we want to have a capital structure that results in the lowest weighted average cost of capital. So the capital structure that results in the lowest weighted average cost of capital is the one that is expected to have the highest what? Value of the firm as well. So which means it all goes back to the um, uh, the question regarding the goal of the firm. Now, chapter 15 looks at leasing. So chapter 15 looks at leasing. And for chapter 15, there are only two different ways that the lecturer can ask you. When it comes to calculation of the net advantage of leasing, there are two ways that the lecturer can ask you to look at this question. One way is where you're doing the amortization, and the other way is where you're not going to be doing the amortization. Just take note of this. Don't worry about it for now, but when you go through this particular chapter, the video there, I emphasize on it, and I even go through the two different ways that the lecturer has to bring this question in the exam. One way is where they ask you to do the amortization. The other way is where they're not going to ask you to do the amortization. Why the decision that you do the amortization or you don't do the amortization, I also cover it in this particular chapter as well. So you see that the chapter on leasing, the question, there is no exam that I've ever seen over the many years that I've taught this module. There is no exam that I've seen the lecturer bringing in where the lecturer does not bring a question on leases. Never. So the question on leases is always expected to be brought in the exam. So, and usually this question comes in with a mark allocation between 10 to 15 marks. It's always like that. Standard between 10 to 15 marks. So which means in the exam, no matter what happens, you must always make sure that you fully understand the chapter on leases. Because the moment you fully understand the chapter on leases, it means from the 50 marks that you need to pass the exam, you already know that 10 to 15 of those marks, you must be able to put them in the bag already. Because there are only two ways that the lecturer brings this question in the exam, where the first way is where you're doing amortization, and the other way is where you're not going to be doing the amortization. So this question is guaranteed to come in the exam all the time. There is no exam that they are obligated to ask this question in the exam. So this question is always guaranteed to come in the exam. And when it comes in the exam, there are two ways that they can ask you this particular question. So this chapter 15, highly examinable because it's guaranteed to come in the exam. So please make sure that you take note of that. Then chapter 16 looks at dividends and share buybacks. And it all goes back to your capital structure. So when you look at dividends, you're basically saying when a business makes money, they have two options. They can utilize that money to pay dividends to the existing shareholders, or they can use that money to pay back the shareholding from the existing shareholders as well. So which means the company can buy back the shares that the shareholders have, or it can use that money to pay dividends to the shareholders as well. So which means chapter 16, you are looking at this, and usually in the exam, when they bring this question, it's usually either or. It's either they give you a question on dividends where there's a dividend payout, or they give you a question where there's going to be share buybacks as well. Then chapter 17 looks at mergers, acquisitions, and corporate restructuring. And usually this particular chapter they love to bring it in short questions as well. They love to bring this chapter in short questions where you are asked to look at the valuation of the company before the merger, and then the valuation after the company has been merged as well. And then you also look at the theoretical price of the shares, and then you also look to see exactly how much is the premium that has been earned on that after the company is merged as well. So which means these are the short questions that the lecturer has to bring when it comes to mergers and acquisitions. So you will see that after we go through this as well, when we go through revision, there's questions that I'm going to be emphasizing to say these type of questions, make sure that you take note of them as well. And sometimes, because question number one, sometimes in the exam, they sometimes bring these questions as short questions as well. So please, in some cases, they bring these questions as short questions, especially when it comes to mergers and acquisitions as well. So please, when we go through the revision period, I will emphasize to say, please take note of this calculation. Please take note of this calculation or take note of that calculation as well. Because if the questions come in on mergers and acquisitions, we already know exactly what type of questions that we anticipate that the lecturer is going to be bringing as well. So when we go through the revision period, those are the things that I'm going to be emphasizing and highlighting as well. So you see that for Fin4801, you are going to be looking at chapters 1 to chapter 17 of the textbook. So those are the chapters that you're going to be looking at. Are there any questions? All right. So please note that when it comes to assignments, we are going to be having a class this coming Tuesday. We're going to be having a class this coming Tuesday, and the agenda is to go through assignment or quiz number 1 of your curriculum. So the agenda there is to go through quiz number 1 of your curriculum. So we remember I've already shared with you the timetable. So what I'm going to do is on the different WhatsApp groups as well, I'm going to send you a link so that you're able to access the timetable, so that you already know when are we going to be having the classes and what are we going to be covering when we go through those classes as well. Then please note that remember I said this curriculum it's a hybrid curriculum where we are when it comes to going through the curriculum, we have a hybrid between going through the videos and then we review certain videos and then we review as well. So please make sure that you take note of that, which means that as you go through these videos, if you come across anything that you find difficult, just send me a WhatsApp message. I always make sure that I always respond to you within 24 hours of you having sent that message as well. That's my turnaround time. Within 24 hours, if you don't receive a feedback, it means something missed. Maybe amongst the list of students who have sent me queries, maybe I've overlooked it somehow. Please just remind me. But within 24 hours, I always give feedback regarding any query that you might have. So which means, but most importantly, make sure that you go through the video first. Then after you go through the video, if there's something that you don't understand, then I'll make sure that I also find different ways of addressing any queries that you might have as well. All right. Are there any questions so far? Any questions? All right. So please note that we are scheduled to have a class on Tuesday, which is the 25th of April. But please note that, remember, it means also that you have between now and Tuesday to register with us. Because remember, we do assist students. Remember, once you register with us, that's when we start assisting you to go through the curriculum, assisting you to go through these assignments as well as revision as well. So please make sure that between now until the class on Tuesday, you register so that you're able to attend the revision class, the assignment, the quiz 1 class that are going to be doing, because we are going to be sending the login details to those students who have registered with us as well. And remember, you can register with us now and start making your first installment month end of April. So you don't necessarily have to make the payment now. You can register with us now and then we can put you on the official group, and then you can start making your installments there in April. And please note that, remember, I will charge you a fee for all this that we said that we're going to go through with you as well. We charge you a fee of 1,500, which you can now break down and work towards between now until 31 December this year, so that you are able to, as long as you settle your fees by 31 December, it means that we are able to continue giving you services as well. So which means that you have between now until 31 December to settle the annual fee of 1,500 per module that we charge as well. Then please also make so which means that please, between now and Tuesday, you can still register. You don't necessarily, even if you're going to be saying that you're going to make your first installment month end of this month, you can still register with us, and we put you on the official group, and then you can start making your first installment month end of when it comes to month end as well. As long as we can see that you are committed towards setting your fees as well. We are very flexible when it comes to your fees. So please take note of this, and please make sure that most importantly, you register. If you want to see exactly how we go through typically when it comes to the videos, going through chapter 1, remember I've already shared videos or linked to the YouTube videos there, going through chapters 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3 as well. I have already shared those links with you because those are the videos that are publicly available, which are not necessarily embedded into our website as well. So these ones, we made them publicly available and not necessarily embedded into our website. And because of this, if you want to see more on how we conduct our classes as well, I would recommend that you go through these videos so that you can be able to see as well. But please note that as you go through these videos, if there's anything that you don't understand, do not hesitate to contact me, send me a WhatsApp message, or send me a query that you might have. I'm always available to assist as well. So don't wait until our first review class and then you start asking questions as well. Rather, as we go through this period, ask me as many questions as possible, so that when we get to the review class, it's going to be a lot easier. It would mean that we have more time to go through as many practice questions as possible. Because remember, at the end of the day, the most important thing is you need to be prepared on how to answer the questions going to the exam. So to prepare you on how to answer questions going to the exam as well, when we give you these questions for the review class that we're going to be having, please make sure that you attempt these questions individually, so that you can be able to test yourself to see how far behind you are when it comes to preparation for the exam as well. All right. Are there any questions? Any questions? And remember, to register with us, just send me a message indicating your email address, and then what I'll do is that I'll send you the registration form. Others, you can also be, if you're able to, you can also go onto our website and register, because our website is an e-commerce website where if you're buying something online, like for example on Take-A-Lot, we use the same system as well. So you can still use the same system as on our website, where you are able to access the modules and then go to the different packages as well. Now, the packages that we offer as well, we call it the premium package as well as the diamond package as well. So you see that when it comes to the packages that we offer, the package that we offer there, we call it the premium package as well as the diamond package as well. So you see that with the packages, if you go to on our website, if you go to register, if you go to register, then you go to postgrad, and then you go to Fin4801, and then you go to Fin4801, you see that when you scroll down, there are different packages that we offer as well. The rhodium package, platinum package, and the bronze package, they are meant for revision. So the packages that are relevant to you here is the premium package and the diamond package. With the premium package, when you pay your full fee upfront, we also give you full access to our database upfront. We give you all the videos going to the start units, all the videos going through the revision material, as well as the revision material itself. So we give you everything that we have. The only thing that you are not going to be having is the videos that we are still to record when we go through the different classes. That's the only thing that you're not going to have. Now, when you choose the diamond package, You can choose that when you choose the diamond package, it means you're going to be making your installments on a monthly basis as well. And as you pay your installments on a monthly basis, it also means that we also give you access to the soft copy of the textbook immediately. But when it comes to the videos going to the study units as well, we make sure that we give you these videos as we go, but we also make sure that by the time we get to the first review class there, you will be having all the videos for the first 8 chapters of the textbook. Then we would have already started giving you videos going through the remaining chapters of the textbook. Because some people, they also go a bit faster as well. But we give you access to this material as we go. Then during the revision period, around beginning of October, that's when we give you access to the database of the past question papers, answers to the past question papers, past assignments, answers to the past assignments as well. That's when we're going to be giving you the access to the revision material. Then also videos going to the revision material as well. We will start giving you this material beginning of October as we're now preparing for the revision period as well. If you're on the diamond package. So which means these are the two packages that are relevant when it comes to going through the curriculum as well. So to register with us, we'll just need you to just send us your email, then we'll send you the registration form. Just send me a WhatsApp message indicating that you need to be able to get the registration form, and then I'll send you an email with the registration form. Then once you fill in your information there, you send it back to us. The first email that we send you is an email confirming your annual invoice. And then the second email that we receive, send you there, is the email with the login details. Because now with the login details, you are now able to access our website and then get all this material and be able to start studying as well. Then once you're registered with us as well, it means when we add you onto the official WhatsApp group as well, you are able to access the login details for the next class that is going to be on Tuesday as well, so that by the time we get to Tuesday, you are able to attend the quiz number 1 class, where we're going to be going through the questions with you and demonstrating how to approach these questions as well. Remember what I said as well. When you register with us, you can still make your first installment end of the month. The most important thing that we need for you to do now is just for you to fill in the registration form. Then you can still make your first installment end of April as well. Anytime between now and to end of April, you can still make your first installment as well. All right. Are there any questions? Any questions? All right. If there are no questions, enjoy the rest of your day. If you still have any questions that you might have as well, I'm always available. Today I have classes between now until 5 p.m. But anytime after 5 p.m., if you still have any questions or don't hesitate to contact me. If you want to ask a question, send me a WhatsApp message, but I might take a bit of time to respond because I always want to make sure that I make time to look at the questions carefully and respond to those questions as well. So you can still send me the questions. Then if it's something that is a bit longer, I'll take a bit of time, but I'll always make sure that I also respond to those queries as well. So if you have any queries that you might have, don't hesitate to send me a WhatsApp message, and then I'll also respond and give you more information as well. All right. Enjoy your weekend.